Hey everyone. Hey Carmen, let me know. Can you hear me? And Patty, can you hear me? Is that a thumbs up, Patty? Good. Okay, great. Because last week I thought I had it rolling and I did not. Okay. And of course, as soon as we start, the dogs start barking. Okay. Well, let me get started here. My upstairs office does not have any heat, and so here I am in my living room with the puppy dogs. So there's likely to be some barking and some whining. Okay. Anyway, come here, buddy. Come here, buddy. He wants to go outside. I wanted to bring up today that the School of Traditional Skills, where you can find my sourdough bread intensive course, is having a special right now, Spring into Action. So today I was actually thinking of that I was going to be outside gardening, and I was going to film some of that and share. but we'll do that later. My puppy dog wants to climb on my lap. So if you want to investigate the School of Traditional Skills, use our code. There are so many courses there. Broth, gardening, backyard chickens, meat birds with Justin Rhodes, all kinds of really good classes. The Back to Eden gardening, the method that I use, that course is also up. Just a lot of really good stuff with Josh Thomas and all of his friends, he and Carolyn's friends. So you might want to check that out. And we're bringing up again our From Table to Temple event coming up the end of April. Our guest today, Dr. Patty Powers, is part of that event. We're so very thankful to have her on board. April 24th, Friday afternoon, we will be opening our sponsoring exhibits at 4 p.m. And then we'll have a very good farm to table dinner, followed by a talk or two and bluegrass music. We're going to do some just celebrating, and I don't know, will we dance? Maybe. But it promises to be a really fun evening. And then, of course, Saturday all day, we have excellent information, good presentations from people like Dr. Patty and Megan Sanctuary and others. It is going to be another really informative, wonderful event. So all of that aside, welcome again, Dr. Patty. How are you?
Thank you, Maureen. This is great. I'm good, thanks. It's so nice out, but it's a little chilly.
It's nice out here. It's just gray and yucky and overcast.
It's 65, but it is gray. Yeah, so I have a sweater.
It does not feel 65 here. Let me see what it is. It was supposed to be a nice day, I thought. It says 52, which means about maybe, but it's not 52 at my house. That's down the mountain. It's probably upper 40s here, but not the kind of weather I'm quite ready to go outside and start digging. But we have, instead of a deck rail, we have planters. My husband did welded steel and cement board planters. So I am eager to get out and start planting my winter things like turnips and rutabagas and kohlrabi and some more of my herbs. So I'm eager, but it's a rainy, nasty day. So I think I'm waiting. But I see sunshine in your background.
It's cloud cover.
It looks brighter than where I am, but that's okay. I think we're all ready to have winter behind us.
That ice was just not good.
Yeah, even just yesterday morning when I went out to do the chickens, I had to turn around and come right back in because I couldn't even walk on my gravel driveway. It was just iced over. Yeah, once again. So I am glad that is all melted, and hopefully we won't have more snow or ice this year. Friends, I don't know what the weather is like where you are, but Carmen, maybe in Iowa. Oh, rainy and gloomy. Yep. Not really enjoyable weather. But I've got my puppy dogs at my feet and they're happy, so I should be happy too. um, and my daughter Emma will be walking through the door probably in about 20 minutes, so the dogs will bark again. But we have, friends, Dr. Patty, I asked her for some ideas about what to talk about. At our event, she'll be talking about hormones. And you gave a talk about that last year. You're going to expand upon that. And I'm interested in that. And Erin is right now doing a course for hormones with integrative wellness solutions.
Oh, yeah. We're going
right.
to have fun chatting.
Yeah, I know. She told me to tell you she's really excited to see you, but she's on a Zoom call right now, so she couldn't be on. I thought that, yes, we could talk about that again, but did you have other ideas? And man, do you have ideas? Woman, do you have ideas?
We can manage to talk about anything.
And I would love to. So hopefully we can get some more talks, interviews scheduled, because your suggestions were fabulous. And one of them was the limbic system. And I immediately went online and started reading, because I don't understand enough about that. I have just a cursory understanding. So that will be a topic for another time.
Okay, that'd be good.
For today, your suggestion about just discussing the germ theory versus terrain theory, that is something that has fascinated me for years. And I think it is really important, as I considered that and other topics you suggested. I thought that was a really good place to start, because when we want to understand how the body works and why do we get sick and how do we get better, I thought that this would be a good foundational topic to start with. And then hopefully we'll get you on again sooner rather than later, and we'll continue on that if you're up for it.
Sure.
Good. I'm glad. But for many people, they have never even heard of this. So let's start about talking, what is germ theory and what is terrain theory?
Okay. So germ theory, mostly attributed to Louis Pasteur in the 1800s, is the idea that there is, oh, look at you.
Yes, I have Mr. Louis up along with, we'll talk about Mr. Pasteur first. Doesn't he look gruff?
He does. But it's the idea that a particular germ, bacteria, fungus, whatever, causes a particular disease. So the strep bacteria causes strep throat. The tuberculosis, the tuberculum bacterium causes TB. Mm-hmm. And then that kind of leads into, well, the fix is to kill the germ, because under the germ theory, these germs are foreign to us. They come in through cuts, through breathing, through bodily secretions, through eating things. And then given, I don't know, the germ theory doesn't really account for why some people get sick from that kind of stuff and why some people don't.
Or even the degree
immune system
they become sick.
Right. It's always attributed to, well, you must have a strong immune system. Mm-hmm. You fought it off and everybody else succumbed. Mm-hmm. So the terrain theory says that really, whether we're healthy or not, our resilience and our state of health is dependent on our interior and our exterior environments. How toxic we are, how we nourish ourselves, what kind of electromagnetic frequencies we're exposed to, what kind of thoughts we have about ourselves and our state of affairs and our ability to heal, what kind of unresolved traumas or unforgiveness, all that kind of stuff, all plays a role in whether we're healthy or not.
Yeah.
And the terrain theory also gets into the idea that there are primitive organisms, and different researchers over the years, starting back even before the 1800s, but at least in the 1800s with Beauchamp.
Pull him up right there on the right.
You're good. they talk about these primitive kinds of organisms that are alive and living in all of us, but the more sick, the more toxic, the more disturbed and abnormal our terrain is, our interior and exterior environments, the more those primitive forms called endobionts or microzymas or protits, they have multiple names depending on who named them.
Yeah.
They change. They change their forms, and they change from their little primordial selves to things that look like bacteria. And they change to things that look like fungus, and they change to things that look like parasites. But as you heal the terrain, as you remove the barriers to healing, the toxicity, the thoughts, the emotions, the structure, the nourishment, all these things, as you restore the terrain, those life forms
Right.
revert back to their primordial selves. And I kind of view them as, when they look like bacteria or fungus or parasites now, I view them as signs that there's some kind of damage or problem, and they're the cleanup crew.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not giving people antibiotics to kill them, because I want to help them along, and I want to nourish my terrain and reverse the process so that they go back to their primordial state, and my health returns, is restored.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And it reminds me of, well, the whole idea of parasites and why parasites enter certain bodies and don't other bodies. And then also the electromagnetic field, which is affected by toxicity,
Right.
by emotions and all of that. What came to mind specifically was the story that someone shared with me years ago about someone growing soybeans organically, a farmer in Iowa growing soybeans organically and regeneratively, while his neighbors were growing conventionally, so on basically dead soil, which made weak plants, because even the terrain that the plants were growing was dead, toxic, and all of that. And this man was explaining that grasshoppers, which become locusts are not a separate species. You're talking about morphing organisms. Well, grasshoppers are grasshoppers, but in times of stress in the atmosphere and the environment, they become locusts and they clean up the weak plants. So this farmer was surrounded by conventional soybean fields. The locusts came, they were devouring the soybean crops all around him, but they were being repelled by the electromagnetic field, which was much stronger in the regenerative organic fields of his own. Our bodies are like that. That's just, to me, a very clear image. It's not even a metaphor. It's a very clear image of what in my understanding. Am I onto something?
Oh, you're onto something. And I've heard other people describe the same thing, where the regenerative farmers have these beautiful plots in the midst of not very good land. And how do you explain that? Well, one farmer said, well, my plants are too tough now, because as we restore the terrain and we restore the nutrients and we fix things, the plants are stronger. They are more resilient automatically.
It's such a powerful thought. And I'm going to pull up Pasteur and Béchamp again while I let my puppy dog out, little puppy dog. Let's go on from there.
All right, off you go.
I'm back. Just had to let him out, but then I discover something really ugly on the floor. I wonder what that is. And I see that you have a healthy looking critter wanting your attention as well.
All right, same moment as your dogs want to go out. She wants to make an appearance.
Yeah. So there was this battle, from what I understand, this battle between Béchamp and Pasteur And actually, the idea preceding either of these was very interesting as well. And that was that um, something in the atmosphere, something that you would breathe in would cause illnesses. Well, today, to a degree, that's right. But
Yeah.
it was more of it almost seems mystical, but it wasn't mystical.
Mhm.
So coming from that, and then we have this argument between Pasteur and Béchamp and others, but they were the primary figures. And who won out in that debate?
Oh, Pasteur.
Yeah. And that's where we get the word for pasteurization, which has totally destroyed, really, it's destroyed people all over the world because pasteurization destroys the nutrients.
Right.
And it's not addressing the terrain, and it actually damages the terrain.
Right.
It makes people more isn't that ironic? They're trying to help people to be healthier by eliminating germs, the germ theory, but in effect, they're making people's terrain weaker and therefore more susceptible to whatever it is that we're exposed to that can make us sick.
Right.
And that can morph. So can you explain some more of that?
Well, pasteurization is heating up the milk to kill any bacteria in it.
Yeah.
And it destroys the enzymes, and it it changes the chemical structure of the proteins, and it just does all kinds of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we don't need to fear germs that we're exposed to, because we are a soup of germs. There's bacteria all over us and in us and on every surface. And everybody used to think, oh, the blood should be sterile. But people who do live blood analysis see things in the blood like bacteria in people walking around. They're not sick and septic and in the hospital. They see parasites. Right. They see these things in the blood. So nothing about us is sterile or germ-free. We are germs, and we should be living in symbiosis with ours.
Yeah.
All of them.
One of the things that was driving me nuts during the first few years of the 2020s, many things drove us nuts. But one of the things was that stupid PCR test, which the inventor never intended, didn't design it for diagnoses anyway.
Right.
And it would pick up anything that you might have breathed in. And so if it came back positive for that one thing, you automatically were considered sick, and you were just sequester yourself away from humanity and all of that. But that is all just part of the flawed germ theory.
It is.
So you mentioned about us we're like a soup of various microbes, all of which have a purpose.
Right. Yeah, they can get out of balance, right? But
yes, and it's when they're out of balance. Yeah.
Yeah. She's in heat again. So there's that.
And you haven't broken her of that.
No, she's still intact. Thinking about whether or not I'm going to do anything about that, because apparently cats and cats and dogs and animals that are left in their natural states are healthier and live longer. Imagine that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. We keep tampering with
so
yeah.
So the PCR test was, Carrie Mullis never, the designer of the test, never intended it to be used this way. The other thing, you have to have a starting point to compare a positive result. And the isolation of the COVID virus has been very problematic. And honestly, they never really did isolate the COVID virus. So then trying to do a PCR test that says, oh, this matches the original, when there's really no original, doesn't make any sense.
And that's important to note as well, because most people believe that viruses have been isolated, identified.
Right.
All those images that we see, they're actually computer generated images.
Right.
But we don't actually know What?
She comes again.
Oh, she's a Siamese.
She's a Siamese tortie, I think. She's cute.
Oh, she's pretty. Yeah. So here we are fighting this misguided battle. Pasteur obviously won, and now we have ultra pasteurization, and now we also have an epidemic of overuse of antibiotics because of this whole theory.
Mhm.
Let's talk about what the antibiotics do to the body that weakens the terrain.
Well, because the microbiome, and you can talk about the gut microbiome, you can talk about the oral microbiome, the respiratory, they're everywhere, the skin microbiome. These things are there to be, helpful to us. Living in symbiosis means that we live in peace and we help each other out.
Yeah.
Antibiotics, anti-life, antibiotics, biosis is life.
Mhm.
And so they're designed to kill whatever the target organism is, but it's never just the target organism. You think about something that people would use for an ear infection like amoxicillin.
Yeah.
And that has a damaging effect on the gut microbiome. And it has a damaging effect on the vaginal microbiome. And how many women do you know get yeast infections after a course of antibiotics? I was looking up bladder inflammation, cystitis recently, because this woman has had multiple rounds of infection
Yeah.
and multiple rounds of antibiotics over the last 6 months. And just the antibiotic use alone can cause bladder irritation because you're affecting the bladder and the urinary tract microbiome. So there, and then, well, how do you explain, well, I felt better after 2 days. Well, they do have anti-inflammatory kinds of effects. These drugs do. And you're also discounting the healing effects of your own body. You might have gotten well in 2 days if you didn't take any antibiotics.
Yeah.
You've gotten well faster or slower. We don't know that because how do we have a control for that?
What about the sort of natural antibiotics that even I use? And I've wondered about that. There are some that I don't use at all anymore, but I will use monolauric acid. I will use, I did use liposomal I may change my mind on this. This is why I'm asking.
No.
But in acute phases, I'll use liposomal vitamin C and monolauric acid. But I also use elderberry.
Right.
But those other things, a lot of people use oil of oregano, colloidal silver, things like that. Are they doing the same thing as a chemical antibiotic?
I don't think that plants and plant tinctures and teas and things like that have a killing effect on us or the microbiome. Now, oil of oregano is pretty strong, and there are things that are used for certain purposes that might be used, very short. But lots of people are on these things for months. It's like, oh, that might be a little too much.
Yeah.
So plants, I think, are fine, but I also think it's important how we view them. We're looking at them like they're an antibiotic. The power of our belief and intent is really important, and people discount that. So if we take something thinking, oh, this is going to kill something, it could very well, even if it wouldn't do that. And if you took it with the attitude of, oh, this is a substance, medicinal, that is healing my body and helping support my body's own healing efforts.
And I think that's the difference. It's helping the body to heal as opposed to killing everything.
Yeah. Now, monolauric acid is not a plant.
Right. Well, it comes from coconut oil.
Yeah. And curcumin comes from turmeric. But they're
isolate.
Not plants. And so I now view plants as, God made them, and he made all the cofactors and nutrients and right chemicals or whatever, energy to be used to heal us. And the whole plant is the whole plant. It has all that stuff already in there. Whereas when we get involved and start extracting things, I don't like to use those anymore.
I understand, and I've been reevaluating that, which is why I wanted to ask your opinion of that. I have also just used spoonfuls of coconut oil.
Yeah.
But then there's also the chicken soup that's famous in the Jewish households for helping us get over all kinds of things. And that has very real consequential effects to help the body to help itself.
Yeah, especially when you chock it full of onions or garlic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you asked about colloidal silver.
Yeah.
My mind is not made up on colloidal silver. People have been using silver to purify water for hundreds of years. And it's a natural element.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I don't know that it actually works by killing germs. I wonder if it works somehow in the electromagnetic range by donating electrons or donating charge or doing something like that. But I haven't been able to find the research yet that kind of leads me down that path. So right now I'm still using colloidal silver if I thought I needed it. But there are so many other things like elderberry that work to clean up the body. One of my favorites lately is a plant called Romania.
What is that? I know that name, but I can't think of what it is.
I don't know the common name. I just know the Latin name. But it is in Chinese medicine. They use it as a blood purifier. And when we get sick, what are those symptoms? We cough, we sneeze, we run, we throw up, we have diarrhea, we sweat. All those symptoms are detoxification symptoms.
Buddy, stop, buddy. He's trying
and
to.
So he wants you, yeah. And so using things that help us clean up the body and restore the terrain are good things. You know, we're not always just trying to deal with germs. It's like, okay, what did I breathe today? What outgassed in my house? What was on the food that I ate? Okay, all that stuff needs to be cleaned up.
And sometimes things like also clay. Clay suspension. Yeah. I keep Sone's number 7 in the cupboard just in case someone ingests something that makes them upset. Or you can put it on wounds and burns. Actually, it has worked fabulously for burns. So that's another example of a natural God-given substance that has a really powerful effect both internally and externally.
Yes.
I haven't felt good about the liposomal vitamin C because it's made, and I don't ever recommend it generally anyway, but I've used it many times in an acute phase along with the monolauric acid, and it has helped me, including overcoming that nasty COVID thing a few years ago.
Sure.
But I actually think I probably would have been fine if somebody would have just brought me a mug of chicken stock. It's funny. I take care of everybody when they're sick, but when I was sick,
it's different.
I got an egg. I got one egg one day. Okay. I really wish I would have just done the chicken soup. But I don't like the liposomal vitamin C because it's not natural.
Right. All the vitamins are synthetic.
Yeah.
And even the plant-derived ones. Okay, well, ascorbic acid comes from corn.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a plant-derived substance then, but it's made in a lab.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. It comes from a factory instead of just the plant. When I was in Maine I don't know, a year and a half ago or something, I'm up there once or twice a year with my husband. I harvested usnea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure if the southern variety is as potent as the northern. I mean, it's Spanish moss in the south. I don't know if it's the same as what I harvested in Maine, but
Mm.
I harvested lots of usnea,
Mm-hmm.
and I got some grain alcohol, and it's in my cupboard now.
Good for you.
Yeah, I sometimes I forget that it's there. I have a quart of it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but again, if I forget that it's there, what good does it do me? When I have used it, and I've used it several times, it's really helped me to overcome whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But then and I really do want to talk some about how do we heal the terrain so we can overcome illness. Um, one of the reasons why I like something like chicken soup is because it's a homemade broth, meat stock, or bone broth is rich in glutathione. And glutathione helps the gut to detoxify and the liver to detoxify. So that's why one of the reasons why I think that chicken soup is a really good thing when you're sick.
It makes your nose run. It's a good thing.
Yeah, especially
Warms
with
you
all that
up.
garlic and onion. Yeah, lots of garlic and onion.
Yeah.
What kinds of things do you suggest, say, to a mom who has a child or children and it's flu season or cold season, and instead of antibiotics feeding into the germ theory, looking at the terrain, how do we help our bodies?
Well, it starts with what are we feeding ourselves?
Yeah.
What are we feeding our kids?
Yeah.
And, setting that good foundation, the nourishing traditions way with good animal products and good animal fats, and cod liver oil is lovely,
Yeah.
and not so much processed food, because that
Yeah.
really does make kids more susceptible to get sick a lot. So what are you eating? How well is your gut working to absorb that? And then, what kind of toxins are in your day? What kind of toxins are in your water? Because water, we tend to drink and cook and bathe in it a lot.
Yeah.
How do you clean up and reduce the number of toxins that we take in? Well, water is a good target because, again, we use a lot of it.
Yeah.
There are pitcher type on the counter kinds of products that are heads above the common $30 pitchers at the grocery stores. And they take out fluoride, and they take out chlorine, and they take out heavy metals, and they do all kinds of stuff. The Environmental Working Group is a lovely resource
Yeah.
for, well, what's in my water? And then also, well, what kind of system do I want to clean it up? Do I want a pitcher type? Do I want something on the counter? Do I want something under the counter so that when I turn on the switch, it just comes out clean? Do I want a whole house system? What about the shower head or the tub tap? What about all this stuff? Because they make that kind of stuff too. I'm not going to do a whole house system and then wash my clothes in pure water. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I'm
gonna
also not going to use chlorine in my machine either.
Yeah, your choice. I'm not going to use. But if I lived in the city and I didn't want to have a whole house system, then I would wash my clothes in city water and say, okay, I'm not drinking them. I'm just washing my clothes in them.
Well, you mentioned the Environmental Working Group, and I'm glad you did. They have a link, I believe, I did this last year, where you can find out what is in your water. You punch in your zip code, and it will tell you.
Right.
So, and it's not that it's completely,
No.
It doesn't know everything. I live on a mountain that used to be an apple orchard.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We have a fairly deep well, but there are forever chemicals out there, and I don't know that a water filter can take them out. Now, I do use a water structure for our drinking water.
Good. Mm-hmm.
I have been told, and I don't know that he's trying to climb up on my lap, and he's too big for that. But here, you can see him. Let's see.
Oh, aren't you cute?
Yeah, this is Buddy. Yep, he's sweet. He's very sweet, but no paw. He's not supposed to get up on me. But you can sit here. I was told when I was considering the water structure that when you drink structured water, that somehow it functions. One of the functions is that it prevents toxins from being absorbable. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know.
I
I think
don't.
structuring or energizing the water is a really good thing because
Yeah.
you're in the city, you get water from the plant that's been pushed through their chemicals and then pushed through their pipes. And in nature, it's out in the sun and it's exposed to sounds and wind and breeze and fish and frogs and bugs and
Yeah.
it moves, it's in eddies. It's not just straight pipes,
Yeah.
different water. But you can
Yeah.
just stir it, or set it out in the sunshine in a glass jar and let the sun energize it.
Yeah. I've noticed when I use it, even just to water the plants, that it absorbs into the soil rather than sitting. If you use a surfactant, sometimes I used to fill a pitcher and have just a tiny drop of non-toxic dish soap, and it acts as a surfactant so that the water absorbs. Well, the structured water absorbs as opposed to fresh from the tap. Yeah. So when I think about that, I think, what is it doing inside of my body, and how is it helping my body to detoxify and to be healthier?
You know what I did this spring? Well, this last month is I tapped some trees.
Oh, I want to hear about it too.
So I have a couple maples and I tapped 3 walnuts. And it was back when it was a little colder because apparently the warmer it gets, the sap doesn't flow so much. But boy, within the first 24 hours from my 2 maples, I got a gallon of sap. And it's delicious. And it's already been energized or structured by the trees. And it just is a hint of sweet. It's just wonderful. The walnut sap is not as sweet. So I guess
it black walnut or English walnut?
I think I have black walnuts, but I don't really know. Apparently you can tap them both.
Well, yeah, it is easy to see visually from the nut itself, but my dad used to tap his black walnut trees.
Oh,
and
did he?
Syrup. And it's the black walnut has a bitter edge to it.
Okay. There's a lot of people who really like it. Apparently it's kind of expensive.
Yeah. I'd rather just go out and get it. My dad also tapped hickory trees. I think our neighbor on our farm did the same. And I've got a couple of hickory trees and I just haven't even thought to do it. But the water or the sap coming from the trees, and it flows late in the winter when it still is cold, but you have warmer days and cold nights. That's when you want to tap the trees, and then you're getting the structured water naturally. Plus it will have all kinds of metabolites and
all kind of good nutrients. It's lovely. And the energy of the tree.
Yeah.
The terrain that I live in. So,
which is the proper terrain for your body.
Right. Eat local.
Yeah, I definitely believe in that. And I had a thought and it just disappeared. Puppy dog, stop. He's trying to play with the cat.
Oh, yeah.
One of the cats.
Maureen, do you do anything with electroculture?
I have dabbled in that.
Have you?
Yes, and it's fascinating. Let's talk about that.
Okay, because I'm curious, and I made an antenna once and stuck it in a pot, but that's about my experience.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, electroculture is taking a copper. It should be copper. I don't know if you can use, I know you can't use some things, but copper, because it is conductive of electricity, and you can just make a coil. This boy, he wants to be on my lap. You can make an attractive coil. I mean, they can look really pretty, and you just put them either in the garden and right by your plants, or you can put them in your potted plants or your gardening beds. And it brings up energy, the sun's energy that the soil absorbs. And I hope I'm explaining this right. So, feel free. But it conducts the electrical energy into the plant so that the plant is healthier and grows well and has strength. So we're talking about magnetic fields now when we're comparing germ theory versus terrain theory. Well, this really plays into terrain because we are supposed to be grounded.
Mhm.
Humankind up until modern history have worn, when they wear shoes, they've been leather.
Right.
Or they've been felt. I love felt. I just ordered last night. I ordered two more pair of felted wool, but with leather soles.
Ooh. Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah, I had a hard time finding them, and I found a company that sells them they're considered indoor, but I'm going to wear them outside. That's why I ordered them.
Mhm.
But at any rate, people used to be grounded every time they were outside, and people used to live outside. We have these pretty houses now, and I love my house. I really enjoy this as my living room. It's my favorite space. But I have lots of windows to absorb the sun's energy. I dislike very much that the windows that you buy have glazing to prevent all of the UV spectrum to come in. So I have them open as much as I possibly can, because I want to absorb the sun's rays, and I want my plants to get the sun's rays. But when we're walking around, we should actually be walking either barefooted or with natural leather, not rubber, but leather, wool, whatever, so that our bodies are conducting energy, exchanging ions with the earth and the sun's energy that's absorbed into the earth. Likewise, the plants with that electroculture, we're enhancing when we use those copper rods. I think maybe 2 years ago, one of our daughters, as for Christmas gifts, I talked about this. So she bought some copper wire and made pretty things for all of us to put in our plants. I'm guessing that Emma is home. And she said, it really wasn't that hard to do, Mom. They were pretty easy to bend. And I looked at one, and it was easy to bend because it was aluminum core dipped in copper. So that does not do the same thing.
No, it doesn't.
She was disappointed when I told her that. But here again, when we're doing things the right way, we're building a stronger terrain that helps us to detoxify as well.
Right. And repair and regenerate and reproduce and do all those good things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And along with that idea of proper energy flow comes the improper energy flow, which goes back to the electromagnetic field of those soybean plants. Yeah, I have these dots, but I don't actually think that they do anything.
It's so hard to know. I can't measure it. I have a biogeometry sticker on my phone because the biogeometry science is that shapes have, and the shapes is the field.
Yeah.
And then I have another device on the farm that creates a coherent field to kind of make the chaotic waves of man-made stuff become in sync with my coherent field here. And then I have it independent. So when I'm out and about, usually I put that on and wear it because
I
but those things are those that I believe in because I can look at things and see how I feel.
You're becoming robotic for some reason. And you froze. Whew, I want you to unfreeze. You're unfrozen now, but hopefully your voice. Okay, I can hear you better.
All right. So I believe in the science behind the companies that I use or recommend because I can look at their studies and say, okay, cows have more milk production and better fertility when they are exposed to the fields from these devices. Blood is less sticky when it's exposed to the field from these devices. Okay.
Yeah. So instead of fighting the terrain by killing everything, we can enhance the terrain by working with nature, with God's design.
Yeah.
And everything we do today is so anti-God's design.
Got to control it. Got to kill it.
Yeah. Well, and one simple thing is I don't carry my phone around. When I'm at home, it has a spot in my kitchen, not that it always lands there. I'm constantly looking for where did I leave my phone, but I don't carry it. I don't hold it up to my ear. Um, and I don't use a Bluetooth headset either.
No.
Barely. You'll see one on my head, a bone conducting one from time to time.
Right.
Um, if I were to use a wired one, I'd be carrying my phone, and I don't want to do that.
Right.
But the Wi-Fi signal, I've noticed a couple of times when I've been at a conference for a while in a big hotel, that's when I start to get sick.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's
actually, Sally Fallon Morell got the COVID stuff after one of our conferences. And I thought, and I know that she thought the same thing, that it was being exposed to all of that artificial EMFs. And you're in a hotel kind of held hostage for
right.
days on end.
No real sunlight. Right.
Yeah. When we were in Orlando the year before last, at least there were lots of windows, and it was very easy to go outside onto terraces in between sessions, and people did that. But you can't always do that.
No, you can't.
You usually can't do that. Yeah, so that electromagnetic field that is unnatural is highly problematic.
Right. And then you think of what they clean those places with.
Oh,
The fragrances and oh my.
It's and we all have friends, I'm sure, who use the fragrances, and they're highly toxic. Our body has to get rid of that.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So I want to have a cold after I've been. I have one friend that I stayed with once. I was traveling, and I really love her. Really love she and her family. I've not said anything because I don't want to offend, but they use fragrances all through the house. And I just had to sort of mentally shut that down in my brain. But when I went outside, I just took deep breaths and tried to get rid of that. Most of the time, we don't need to expose ourselves to these things. Certainly, there are times when we don't have a choice, like being at a conference, for instance, or when I go to a store. I'm sure you're like me. You try to avoid the
hurried.
laundry. Well, let me just go right by. I order my laundry detergent rather than go down that aisle. It's really rough. But that's all damaging the terrain. So that goes back to the terrain.
Right.
When we're polluting our terrain, we're making it weak, and then our body needs to get rid of it. It gets rid of it through sickness, and then people take antibiotics because they think it's a germ,
right.
a bug.
And it's not.
It's really not. I'm curious. I didn't prep you for this question, but since we're talking about this, you've, I'm sure, read The Contagion Myth by Sally and by Dr. Tom Cowan.
Yes.
And I've heard both of them talk about it. I am on the fence with, are there any contagions? And I'll tell you why. When I read through the book of Leviticus and all of the laws about things like touching a dead body or when a woman is bleeding and or blood in general, there's a lot of precautionary rules about that, which makes me think that maybe there are contagions, but the health of our terrain is the determinant factor in whether or not we get sick or how sick we get. What are your thoughts on that?
So I think there are contagions, but I don't think that they work in the way that that I used to think about them. So you think about a decomposing body or an open wound, touching bodily fluids and that kind of stuff.
Leprosy comes to mind.
Yeah. It's like, what is that? People talk about chickenpox parties because you would back in the day, you know, somebody
We
get
used to do
chickenpox
that.
and everybody would go and you all get exposed and you all get chickenpox. And
Yeah.
what is that? Why do women's menstrual cycles in the same household often sync up? And why do you get the urge to yawn when you see somebody else yawn? What is it
Yeah.
about? You know, those are clearly, we observe those kinds of things, but I don't think that they work by transmitting germs. I think that they might work by some kind of bioenergetic something.
That is
You know?
interesting. Um, that's a really interesting thought. I haven't considered that, but I'm really curious, and we probably won't ever know because who's doing the research on that kind of thing anyway?
Right,
Nobody, because they're all looking at germs.
right.
Uh, few people are looking at terrain, but that is what has always held me back from totally accepting that there's no such thing as a contagion. And when I've heard others present on that topic, they've said things like asteroids changing the Earth's magnetic field, or of course being exposed to Wi-Fi and things like that. But historically, well, and coming back to the germ idea as well, when you don't have proper sanitation, people living in early, 1900s of New York City, or
Right.
in the filth of the medieval towns, people are getting sick.
Yeah, we know that drinking sewage, raw sewage, is not healthy for us.
No. And that's what was probably causing the things like, I don't know about Black Plague, but some of those things throughout history, pre-modern history, is just lack of sanitation. And I guess people are absorbing and consuming because they're literally dumping sewage in the street. You're walking through it.
Yeah.
It's contaminating everything. But when I say contaminate, I think germ theory again. So
Yeah,
maybe go ahead.
There's the issue of lack of sunlight in
Yeah.
cities too, and then there's the issue of what kind of food are they eating, and
Lack of access to fresh, good food.
and I heard something about, I guess it was the smallpox question, but they were feeding the cows something toxic.
Yeah, Dr. Ron Schmid's the untold story of milk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in inner cities, primarily New York, is where he focused on that book, and this is where the Pasteur versus Béchamp thing really came into a powerful debate. Was people out in the countryside or people in villages had access to fresh raw milk, and they were perfectly fine, but people in the cities, after the War of 1812, I believe, with Great Britain, we stopped importing, the US stopped importing spirits from Great Britain. And so distilleries started to be built in the inner cities. And what do they do with the swill left over from liquor production? Well, let's give it to cows. Let's build buildings where the cows can live, and we'll feed them the distillery swill, which means the cows were being fed a very unhealthy diet. So they were sick. The people hand milking them were getting sick. The people drinking the milk were getting sick. And this is where Pasteur won out in that argument.
Yeah.
Pasteurize everything, nobody will get sick. And they ignored that, they ignored all of what I just said,
Right.
and why the cattle and the people were getting sick. And so let's just pasteurize everything and ignore the fact that there were no nutrients or very few nutrients in the milk. And that is really where pasteurization began. And that was all based on this germ theory.
Right.
And where the battle raged between Pasteur and Béchamp. So Few people know that. Few people have ever read that book, but I often talk about it. I'm glad that you brought that up. If you live in filth and you're not exposed to fresh air, sunshine, and good food, and especially by the turn of the 20th century when canning had become so popular, yeah, people are going to be sick.
Right.
So I think between us, our conversation would say that, really in conclusion, that we need to be exposed to sunlight, fresh air, have good food, take in the natural energy from the sun,
right,
and stop the pollutants, but help our body to detoxify instead, which is, you get that from energy from the sun, grounding, from good food like bone broth or meat stock with glutathione, with sauerkraut, with things like that. Actually, I use brine from my ferments almost always if somebody's getting sick. And I joke that I keep kimchi in the fridge. I don't enjoy kimchi, but I joke that if somebody's getting sick, give them a shot of kimchi brine, because it's so nasty that all the beasties are going to run away. But it does clean up the gut. So we're kind of proving our point, aren't we?
It balances. Yeah. That helps to restore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So on that nourishing theme, we're talking about what we nourish the body with, but it's also important to know what we're feeding our minds and our souls and our spirits.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. And you brought up early on emotions and traumas and all of that. But if we're putting garbage in our brains, our bodies are not going to function any better than our brains will.
Right.
Super important. I'm planning on interviewing hopefully the author of the Emotion Code. I keep forgetting to reach out to him. Yeah. Morley Robbins, last week we talked about that. That was not the Emotion Code, but emotional traumas and such, and how our emotions affect our health.
They do.
Yeah, they really do. I'm also starting to read a book that I'll be bringing up soon that helps you to heal, to recognize and deal with traumas as a child, even little things that are just hurts. But all of that plays into our well-being overall.
It does. And people don't even think about it.
No. They watch garbage movies. They eat garbage food.
Right.
They drink garbage water.
Right. They're exposed to artificial lighting all day long.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I loved when I was in Germany back in late 2024, and we'd drive from village to village and we'd see office buildings. And
it's 4:00.
A lot of them have, you could see they had big windows letting in lots of sunshine, hopefully not glazed windows. And instead of having cubicles, they had stand-up desks and they had plants, and they really got it right.
That's a huge step forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then instead of having McDonald's, which sometime I'll have to share a photo that one of the girls took in Germany when we'd come back from Austria, and the children were hungry and the adults were too. And people kept saying, oh, McDonald's is much better in Europe. And I kept thinking, I don't think so. And the only option we had was McDonald's. And I didn't know that youngest daughter was taking a photograph of me biting in. Oh, it was
well, sometimes you just go for what's available and you eat it with joy, and it's okay.
I can't say I ate it with joy, Patty.
Well, if you eat it knowing it's going to poison you, then it will. But if you eat it thinking, all right, I'm going to eat it and this is going to nourish me. I'm going to move on. I'm not going to make a habit of it, but today it's fine.
It kept
It's
my
fine.
my belly was full, and I
Right.
drank sauerkraut brine when I got back, and lots of good water. And
Yeah.
it's interesting that I notice if I do eat something that's outside of the norm, and Sally talks about eating 80% pure good food and 20% that most people are okay. I don't believe that anymore. I'm probably 95% pure good food. And then occasionally I'll eat something. We have a fast food joint in town. It's not a chain. It's actually good, except
Mm-hmm.
for that they do fry their fries in peanut oil. They use real
Oh,
potatoes, they cut them there, they fry them, they grind up their own meat. It's much better. And about once a month, we'll go there because we'll take the grandchildren or something. And we enjoy that. But you know what I notice is that as my body's trying to detoxify from that, that's when I get stinky. I
yeah.
don't usually wear deodorant, but I put deodorant on after a meal like that because
Right.
it gets stinky.
Because we detoxify one of the ways through our sweat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So all of that is really interesting to me. There's so much more to talk about, but Patty, can we have you back
I'd love to.
and we'll go on to limbic system, autonomic nervous system. Oh, I really want to talk about that because there's so much more that I want to learn about that. But we have a couple of things, and I'm just excited to talk to you with all of those things as well. And friends, I'm excited to have Patty come to Melvin's Farm to Fork store the end of April for that event as well. And it's going to be so much fun. And it's going to be lighthearted rather, and low pressure and fun, informative, but fun. We like to make it really interesting. And we're going to serve very good farm to table food each day.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, it is. It is. So we're looking forward to that. So we'll close for now and we'll come back another time. But everyone, we thank you very much for being with us. Patty, thank you for coming on and talking with us and sharing your wealth of knowledge.
Thank you for having me. I am grateful.
Oh man, I really am grateful because here we take so much of your time to do this, but we learn so much. And every interview that I do, I just love learning. And so, yes, I interject, but we share information, we learn, and we grow. So we are very thankful. And thank you to everyone for putting up with Puppy Dog, with Naughty Dog here, who just wanted to play with Richard the cat. And Richard the cat wants nothing to do with him. But anyway, you've put up very well with all of that. So thank you. And we'll be back next week with, let's see who is next week. I have to look at the calendar to remember who is on next week. Next week, Patty, you might like this. Next week is Q&A with Morley Robbins from
nice.
Root Cause Protocol. So I want people to either send in to hello@godsgoodtable, send in their questions, or hop on and put them in the comments so we can ask. But we want your questions. He's fascinating as well. And I'm looking forward to the Q&A. We don't normally do those kinds of things. We just invite questions as we're talking. But this is a whole session that's just Q&A with Morley. And I'm working on getting also Dave and Addie Addie's not Wetzel anymore, but from Green Pasture Products. So hopefully the end of the month, we've got to reschedule that. But thank you for putting up with me, Buddy, and Bruno. Bruno's kind of annoying too sometimes.
Thank you very much, Maureen.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Patty. And we'll see you next week, everyone. Hopefully, Patty too. Bye-bye.